Hi there. I am here to do just a general tarot card reading for you today. So, the past couple readings that I have done here on YouTube, and if you can hear a noise in the background, it's me shuffling the cards. Um, if you have watched any of my past YouTube videos, you know that I have done pick a pile. So, basically, where um, you pick the pile of cards that is speaking to you based off of the imagery, based off of I put flowers on there one time. So I've done that in the past. I was not feeling that today. I was just not feeling that that was the route that I wanted to go down. I was feeling more just like there was a general message that needed to come out. And so that is what I'm doing. So I'm shuffling the cards right now. I have no particular thing that I am asking. I am just kind of setting the intention of a message that needs to come through today for the people that land on this video, right? Obviously, not every single person in the world is going to watch this video, although that would be great, but probably not going to happen, right? So this is just for the people that stumble upon this video. What do the cards have to say today? Yeah, so we've just had a couple cards pop out, and I'm going to see if anything else pops out, and then we will walk through and see what the message is for you today. So I had a couple cards just fall out. Again, I'm not doing any sort of specific spread. I'm not picking certain cards, anything like that. I'm just shuffling the deck and seeing what falls out, what we're meant to hear today, what we need to know today. And two cards fell out together, and then another card fell out. And so I'm going to show you the first two cards. We have the Chariot, which is this one right here with the salmon swimming upstream. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. In this deck, it's just called Fortune, but it's typically referred to as the Wheel of Fortune. And then we also have the Sun reversed, okay? And the first thing that I want to point out about these cards, about these three cards, is that these are all cards that are called major arcana cards in the tarot. And the tarot has 78 cards in the deck traditionally. Again, some decks vary, but most of the time, a tarot deck has 78 cards. And only 22 of the cards are major arcana cards. So they're definitely more rare to receive. And they typically indicate kind of big chapters of your life or big themes or messages in your life. So when you receive a major arcana card, it's kind of a big deal. And the fact that we've received three is like, wow, okay, this is really indicating something here. This is a very powerful message. And this is really speaking, again, I would say about a period of your life. And the first thing that came to me when I saw all three of these cards together is that you have been in a period of time of struggle. Okay. And I'm going to say that first. But when I say a period of time, the thing that feels different about this is that this isn't like a week of struggle. This isn't a day of struggle. This isn't a month of struggle. This isn't even like multiple months of struggle. Like this feels like maybe a couple years. And I mean, this feels like a long time. And this kind of, to me, I'm getting this vibe of you perceiving this time as I can't believe this has lasted this long. Like I kind of thought this would resolve itself by now. I kind of thought I'd figure this out by now, right? Figure this out, whatever that means. I kind of thought we'd maybe get to some sort of a conclusion. I thought maybe I'd start feeling better by now. I thought maybe I'd start like going to the gym more or not sleeping as much or like do my dishes more regularly, whatever, right? Like I kind of have this sense that like life has just felt hard. Like every part of life that at one point you were just able to do, right? You were just able to like go to work, take care of your physical body, take care of yourself mentally, like whatever, right? You were able to do these things that you needed to do pretty easily. And everything has felt like a struggle lately. I mean, this card right here, the Chariot, says it all. It is literally what I would presume is a salmon swimming upstream. Okay. Now, what I love about the Chariot and what I always like to point out about the Chariot to people when I use this particular deck, which is the Way Home Tarot deck, um, this particular card, right? The thing about a salmon swimming upstream is that a salmon biologically is designed to swim upstream. Like that is literally in a salmon's instinct is to swim upstream. Now, it was funny because I was kind of thinking, I'm like, I don't know if they swim upstream just for migration purposes, reproductive purposes. I mean, I'm sure it's actually probably a combination of everything, right? Like it's just part of their life cycle, essentially, is that they swim upstream. They do it seasonally. Everyone knows about this, right? This is not like this crazy thing. Everyone knows that salmon swim upstream. And I really think that this card is a reminder that we can also have those moments, right? Those, I would say, seasons, those part of our life cycle, which then brings me to the Wheel of Fortune, right? So, this idea that things are constantly cyclical. I think I was just talking to my therapist about this actually. I think in our colonized world and in our capitalist world, um, we very much have this idea that life, or we've created this idea, right? Because I think it serves capitalism, it serves like the patriarchy, it serves racism, right? It serves all of these different systems um, that are active in our society, right? This idea that things are linear and that there is a linear trajectory and that life just goes this way, right? And if you're not going up and up and up and up and up, then you're doing something wrong. Um, and that is just not the case, right? And I think that's why so many people, I think maybe that is why you are struggling right now, is because you might be buying into that narrative a bit. And I don't want to shame you for that, because we've all had to buy into that narrative, right? Like in order to survive in our world, we to an extent have to go on this linear trajectory. We're not allowed to have down cycles, right? You're not allowed to just call your boss and say, "Hey, I'm having a bad mental health month. I need to take some time off." Our society is not built like that, right? So in order to succeed, we really have to again, like, keep just going up and up and up and up and up. And so it's almost like we are a salmon that is just always in that season, always in that season of swimming upstream. That is exhausting. And salmon don't do that all year round. They don't do that every single day. There are periods of time where that is appropriate, that is seasonable, that makes sense for them. That is not how they do every single day of their life. But again, because of so much of how our society and our structure of our culture is set up, we believe that we constantly have to be in this forward momentum. And I think many of us, I mean, I would say pretty much all of us were, right? And then a lot of things got turned on their head with the pandemic. Um, and also, I think we all realized how burnt out we were, right? From that constant swimming upstream. And so I think that's why a lot of us are feeling like, oh my gosh, I've been in this struggle period for so long. Because we don't realize that, like, if we've gone years and years and years and years and years of our life of always striving, always trying to do better, always trying to grow, always trying to go upstream, when we finally have a halt in that, it's absolutely just, I think the weight of all of that is so heavy, it takes a long time to recover, right? So these two cards together, what they were really saying to me, because the Wheel of Fortune also, there's kind of this meaning of the Wheel of Fortune. And here's the thing, tarot cards have a million different meanings. Every single tarot card has a million different meanings. Every deck creator, like anyone that creates a tarot deck, and there's like thousands upon thousands of tarot decks out there, they all have different imagery for every single card. Everyone has a different interpretation. Plus, the interpretation can change in the reading. That is really where intuition comes in. Anyways, I say that because one interpretation of the Wheel of Fortune is this concept of time is not real, right? Time is a construct, and time is also very what's the word? I always lose words whenever I'm like, what is that word? Time is very objective, right? And time also can, like, our perception of time can change, right? Kind of this idea of like when you're having so much fun and you're like, maybe you're hanging out with a friend that you haven't hung out with in years, and you're like, oh my gosh, we spent all day together, but it wasn't enough. I want more time. But if you were at work all day, you're like, holy crap, that was the longest day of my entire life, right? So it just, your perception of time changes. And so if you're in a period of going upstream constantly, it's going to feel like you have been in this pattern forever, right? It is going to feel like you've been in this season of life for like your whole life. And you're like, what is going on? I'm so confused. I remember when life felt a little bit better. I don't really know what's going on right now. I kind of thought that it would get better, right? Then we have the sun reversed, okay? And the sun reversed, I think, first off, just really signifies this idea that like your life's kind of been thrown upside down. You've kind of been spun on your head, and you're feeling a little hoodwinked. You're feeling a little like, what the hell happened to me? Like I kind of thought I was thriving, and now I'm like so totally lost. Um and the reality of that is that, again, and I think that's why like the sun is coming up, we just have to remember that this is part of the cycle. We live in a cyclical world. But again, because of all of these systems of oppression that are in our world, we have now designed things to think that things are linear, but they are not. Because if we honored cycles, right? Think about it. If we honored cycles of our life, we would need more time off. Women would need a week off every month, right? um, things would just be more slow. They would be more gentle. They would be more compassionate. If we saw things as cyclical, there would have to be room for rest. There would have to be room for honoring the different seasons of our life. And so that is why linear direction, right, is kind of the chosen way of being able to build a society where people fall in line, right? And so I just need you to get that, right? I just need you to hear that of not being so hard on yourself, right? You're part of a system. It's not your fault. It's also not your fault that you were constantly swimming upstream. By the way, I'm sorry that my lighting keeps changing. I think like it must be really cloudy outside, and I have a lot of windows in here. So I feel like the sun's coming in and out. But anyways, so there's no reason to feel bad about how much you have pushed, because that's just part of it, right? That's what we're taught. Like, I mean, we go to school from the age of what, 5 till 18, and we're at school 8, 9 hours a day, and then we go home and we do homework. Like, we are taught to work. We are taught to push and to achieve. And again, there's nothing wrong with those things. I just want to be really clear with that as well. There's nothing wrong with hard work, of dedication, but the way that things have been set up, right, is that there's never a break, that there is never a time to relax, to rejuvenate, to heal. And that's just really, really exhausting, right? So I think what these cards are telling me that you're currently experiencing right now is realizing that that is not sustainable. Constantly moving forward, never having seasons of rest, seasons of healing. It's not sustainable. And I do think we're starting to see this on a global level, an understanding of this on a global level. And I hope that things start to change so that we can honor a little bit more the cyclical nature of life. I do think we're getting there. I think what this message is saying to you is almost helping you understand what you're experiencing right now. Helping you understand that this does feel like a long period of time because you're exhausted. And so, if this was a joyful, period of your life, it might feel like it had gone so fast, right? I mean, I think about, here's a perfect example. College was definitely one of the most joyful periods of my life. I met some of my best friends. I met my partner. I mean, I just had an amazing time. And that 4 years feels like it has gone by. Like, I mean, I'm like, how was that 4 years, right? But right now, I think a lot of us are feeling the struggle period. And I think for a lot of us, kind of lines up with the pandemic, right? So that's been about 2 years. And it feels like it's been 10. It feels like it's been 20. Like, and again, that's just because of our perception of time. So I think what these cards are, again, is trying to validate what you're feeling, telling you you're not wrong. You've been swimming upstream. Like, this makes sense that you are now kind of like flat, just exhausted, right? But again, back to the sun, I kind of got sidetracked there. Back to the sun reversed. I think what this is a reminder that the joy that you have felt, the pure just like bliss. I mean, honestly, I love, like, I'm a winter person. I really do like winter. I like snow. I like coziness. But there's also nothing that I love more than just like being completely baked by the sun, like just feeling the sun's rays on me, like be super hot, sweaty, like obviously like sometimes being sweaty can be uncomfortable, but I think you know that feeling of like being at the beach or being at the pool and just like having that sun on you and just it just feels really good, right? So those moments are still available to you. Like the joy and the things that you have felt in the past, they will come back. And I think the sun is literally reversed here as a reminder of like the sun does go down every single day and it comes back up. And we don't ever, and I know this sounds kind of cliche, but I want to remind you of this, like, we don't ever question if the sun is going to rise again. So, can you maybe just realize that you're in the season of swimming uphill or swimming upstream, right? You're the salmon right now. It's when do they do that? Do they do that in the springtime? I don't know. I'm going to have to Google that and find out. But it is the season where they do that, and that is what they're doing. But then there is going to be a season where you're just swimming around in your calm waters and everything is fine, right? And again, the sun will come back up. And so realizing that this is a season, I think, like, honestly, the message here with these cards is can we start to realize that we live in a cyclical nature? And we know that. Like, it's not even like we have to prove that. Everything is cyclical. The tides are cyclical. The sun is cyclical. The seasons are cyclical. Like everything in our world is cyclical, but the only thing that is not, all animals, right, live cyclically, live seasonally. They migrate. They do different things at different times. They hibernate. We are the only people, or the only, well, yes, we're people. We are the only creatures, right, that are resisting this. And again, it's not our fault. That's the other thing. Like, part of that is the design of our society. So this is not like there's a certain reality here, right? Of like you can't just like go off grid and like leave everything behind. I mean, I guess you could, but that's not really realistic for a lot of people. There's a certain element of it where we do, we just are in this system. But I think these cards are saying, can you have compassion for where you are? And not even that, not even have compassion, but can you understand it? Because once you understand it and just realize that it's part of life, then you can sit with the acceptance, sit with the compassion of it. And then also, like, how can you start to find some ways to make it through this season right now? Like, we know, oh, I got some cards falling out. Oh, I love it. Like, we know that, again, animals have ways that they prepare for seasons. And again, I don't think this is something that us as humans has really mastered. And so can you figure out a way that you can, nurture yourself during this time? So I think and also I think once we accept what this time is, things are more bearable, right? We have an easier time going through and navigating this season. Okay. So as I just started shuffling again, because I felt like it was time to start shuffling. I felt like I kind of talked that message to death a little bit. I'm sorry, but I just think it's a really, really powerful one. So I hope that that was helpful. And so I wanted some more cards to I wanted to ask the cards, like, okay, so what can you do during this time to I think utilize this time for what it's for. Again, we don't always have to make meaning and purpose out of everything. I think that's another thing that we've been taught, is that we constantly have to be productive. But I do think, right, there's a purpose to the down seasons, there's a purpose to the up seasons. And the two cards, so there were four cards altogether, but the two cards that I think need to be paired together first is the Lovers and the Star reversed. And the Star reversed, if you watch my videos before, it's one of my favorite. Well, the Star in general, it doesn't have to be reversed, but the Star is one of my favorite cards. Absolutely love it. Star is a card of redemption. It is a card of, like, to me, it's like, honestly, okay, I think this is actually the perfect analogy. It's the Britney Spears card. It is the Britney Spears card. Britney Spears had a really rough period, right? We all know it. 2007, like that whole thing. And I truly believe it's because she was like greatly traumatized, right, by forces that were outside of her. And she had a really rough period. Then she had a period of seclusion, right? And again, like a lot of that was not necessarily her own doing or choice. I mean, really, most of that was not her own choice. And now she's free, and now she's out, and we see her on Instagram dancing and showing off her outfits and all these things. She looks amazing. She seems so happy. Like, that is the Star, right? But the Star came up reversed, and then we have the Lovers card. And the Lovers card a lot of times can be about reflection, looking back at things, and really at yourself, and thinking about kind of your emotional development, and like mirroring yourself and seeing yourself a little bit more clearly. I think these two cards are saying, like, during this time, this is a time where you can actually look back at yourself before this time of kind of downtime, right? Before this time of struggle, before this time of rest, or really whatever you want to call it. But like this period of time that's been a little bit more quiet. Again, maybe it has felt like a struggle, but I feel like in times of struggle, we don't have a lot of forward momentum going on. So I want you to actually think back to times where you have had this forward momentum, where you have felt like everything was going really well. And what about that period of your life, and what about now? What have you learned about yourself? Where do you feel that you're coming out bigger, badder, stronger, clearer, wiser? I think really like this idea of wisdom. So like, what wisdom have you found in this period? I really think that's the question right now, is like, okay, you're in this season where things have stalled a little bit. And what is the lesson here? How have you changed? How have you changed is really the big question. And then the other two cards that came up, we have the Five of Swords, and we have the Father of Pentacles. So again, I think these two cards are really saying, like, there's a little bit, if you look at this Five of Swords, it's kind of this idea of trying to fight a battle that you know you're going to lose, right? Trying to prove yourself right, or trying to prove other people right, trying to prove that you have done things the right way, or you do things the best way, or whatever, right? And then we have the Father of Pentacles. And I think these cards are calling you in right now to go, what is not worth the fight anymore? Where, as that salmon that's going upstream, and, me kind of being in this rat race, where can I be a little bit of a rebel and let go, and being like, I'm not going to fight this battle anymore. And it's not going to be everything, right? Like, you still have to pay your bills. You still have to take care of your affairs, right? Like, again, this is not supposed to be this like lofty, like, just go live off grid and like never worry about anything ever. No. But like, where can you maybe stop fighting the losing battle in life? where have you seen that your energy is just kind of wasted in this area? And then with the Father of Pentacles, this is where you also get to dream. So I think during this time, there's a little bit of space for what no longer serves me. I mean, I know that's just kind of a very cliche saying, but again, like these cliche sayings are cliche for a reason, right? They work and they're important messages. Um, what is just what is just not worth it anymore? And where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? You have some time now to dream, because here's the thing about being in that successful, high energy, good feeling part of your life. Even though we all love that, right? It feels great. Like when things are going really well and you're making money and you're like getting promotions, or you're starting a new business and you're getting lots of new clients or whatever, right? Like when things are going really well, that is great. We all want that, right? Like we all, or you're in a new relationship. That's another good example. That all feels really good and exciting. And there's a lot of momentum. But the thing about that is, because there's so much going on, there's so much momentum and excitement, you don't ever really reflect. You don't ever really think like, is this going to burn me out? Is this really what I want to be doing? Is this really what I want my life to look like? Do I really want to be devoting this much time to this thing? Do I really want to be spending this much money on this thing? Whatever it is, right? When you're kind of in the excitement of it, you're just doing it. But this period that you're in right now is actually such a blessing, because this is where you get to reflect back on those kind of more high energy times and go, what didn't work? Right? What didn't work? And if I could do it again, what elements would I take? Right? Because there's always something from that you'd love to take with you and bring forward into the future. So this Father of Pentacles is really asking you, like, what am I going to take from that? And what am I going to believe, or what am I going to leave behind? And what am I envisioning? Right? What do I want to feel again? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be? Right? So that's what I have for you today. The big message here is knowing where you are in life right now, in the season of life, in the seasons of life. Also, just understanding that life is cyclical, and we as humans have really not embraced that and have fought against that. And I think that's why we have a lot of struggle in the way that our society is set up, right? That's why a lot of people struggle. I think that's why we have people that have mental health crises, because really, like, they are just not able to honor the seasons that they need to be honoring. Yeah, I think that's why we have a lot of the struggle that we have. And I think if you can just really understand and accept that that is actually just part of your human nature, and this is just where you are right now, and there are lessons to be learned here. There is time to reflect. I would really encourage you to reflect on what have you learned? How have you changed for the better? What have you realized? What is the wisdom? I like the big word, especially with this Lovers card, wisdom. Wisdom and the Star card. Both of these to me are like, there's depths of wisdom here. Have you actually thought about it? What have you learned? And what will you not do again? Right? And also, like, what have you learned from the broken pieces, right? What have you learned from the struggles? And then can you reimagine? What do you want to take with you? What was really good, but also what was not so great? And how do you transform that? Or how do you recreate what you loved in the past, but in a healthier, happier, more sustainable, more compassionate to the fact that we have cycles of life way? Whew, okay, I hope this was a helpful message. I hope the people that needed to hear it heard it. Feel free to comment below how this landed with you. Like, share, subscribe, all the things. Love you all so much. Have a great day.